This video starts chapter 5. We're going to be building out a scriptable C# framework for our characters and other game objects. So let's start by getting a little bit organized inside our scripts folder. So the first thing we want to do, right mouse on scripts, and we're going to create a folder. I call it mono behaviors. You can recognize that mono behavior is the base class of game objects. So we're going to take our movement controller and move it from top level scripts into mono behaviors. Okay. And next we're going to return to our directory that we downloaded from GitHub that contains the resources from the author of the book. And if we go into chapter 5, we'll see that there's some scripts here that we're going to bring in. We'll start with character. So I'm going to select character and drag it into mono behaviors. Let's just take a look at that in Visual Studio. Okay, so you can see that the character class is an abstract base class. And essentially, it's just providing us with two public integers that are going to be exposed in the inspector for hit point counter and then maximum hit points. And we'll see how we use those later. All right, next, let's go back to the game. And we're going to import another script. This one, player. As you can imagine, this is going to model player, and it's going to be a subclass of character. So grab player, drag it over into mono behaviors. And let's double click on player and just take a quick look at that in Visual Studio. So you can see that player is a character, and we'll see that it has a method defined for colliding, and we can see there's a couple of classes here that are undefined, and we'll add those. Item is going to be a scriptable object. We can see that this is using a tag can be picked up to make sure that we're colliding with an object that we can consume. And consumable is also another script that we're going to need to import. Okay. Now to start, I'm going to just block comment out all this code before we import any additional scripts. So save that. Now we go back to our game, and I'm going to drag the player script and put it on top of our player object. And that will create a player component. Get back to the inspector. We can see if we scroll to the bottom that we've added the player script, and due to the base class character we have hit points, max hit points. So that is looking as we expect. And since I now have these overrides, I'm just going to apply all. So now our player object has a player script as a component. And we're going to start by configuring hit points to be 5 and max to be 10. And also want to save those settings back to the prefab. Okay. Next, we're going to bring some additional sprites into the game that are going to be used to represent some game objects. So back to our directory, and I'm going to drill into sprite sheets. Hearts and coins, 32 by 32, we're going to pull that into sprites objects. Okay, so we have our new sprite sheet, and we're going to be splitting that. So make sure the texture type is sprite. Sprite mode, multiple pixels per unit, 32. And filtering off and compression off. Then go into our sprite editor. And we're going to use the same splitting technique. So by grid cell size, change it to 32, 32. Slice. And that looks reasonable. We have hearts and coins. Apply that. Close out of the sprite editor. Okay, we did a little bit of groundwork here. Let's pause here, and then in the next video we'll build a coin prefab. Okay.